It's really kind of wild when you think
Yeah.
about it, like just how much information is out there,
Yeah.
especially online. Every time you turn around, there's a new headline, a new study, a new expert popping up.
Right.
And it's tough, right,
Right.
to figure out what's legit and what's, well,
Absolutely.
I think
Absolutely. It's
speculative.
overwhelming.
It really is. So, in today's deep dive, we're going to kind of like roll up our sleeves and get our hands dirty with this whole problem of misinformation online.
Yeah, it's a big one.
It really is. We're looking at this excerpt. It's called Disinformation on Social Media. And they really kind of break down how this stuff spreads and why it even matters.
Yeah, and I think what's so interesting about this particular piece is it really highlights how crazy fast
Yeah.
information, or I guess misinformation, can spread online.
It's like wildfire.
It is. It's like wildfire. And it's not just about the amount of stuff out there.
No.
It's the way these platforms use algorithms to put it in front of us, even the really iffy stuff.
Yeah, the algorithms, that's a whole other can of worms.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like 1 minute you're looking up a recipe for, I don't know, banana bread, and the next you're convinced the earth is flat.
Exactly. And that's exactly what these algorithms are designed to do, right?
To suck you in.
To suck you in, keep you scrolling, keep you clicking. And the problem is they prioritize stuff that gets a reaction, gets you emotional. And think about it. Misinformation, fake news, it thrives on that kind of stuff.
The outrage, the fear.
Exactly. They know how to push those buttons, and the algorithm just eats it up.
And it's not just harmless fun, right? This isn't just like people debating the best pizza toppings online.
No, not at all.
This stuff has real-world consequences. I mean,
Yeah.
this excerpt talks about how it can even affect elections.
Absolutely. And we've seen this play out, right?
Yeah.
It's these incredibly sophisticated misinformation campaigns using everything from micro-targeting, where they figure out, your deepest fears and desires, and
It's
then
kind of creepy.
it is creepy, and then they tailor the message just for you.
Wow.
And then there's deep fakes, where they can make anyone appear to say or do anything.
Like, how do you even know what's real anymore?
Exactly. And that's the goal, right? To sow that seed of doubt.
It makes you distrust everything.
Everything, yeah. The media, institutions, even each other.
Mhm.
And that's incredibly dangerous, especially in a democracy.
Yeah, if you can't agree on basic facts, how can you?
How can you have a functioning society?
Exactly.
It's really scary.
And it's not just elections, is it?
No, not at all.
This piece also talks about the impact on things like public health. Like during the pandemic?
Oh, the pandemic, that was like a crash course in the dangers of health misinformation.
Right. It was everywhere.
Everywhere. And it had a real impact. We saw how false claims about treatments, about masks, about the vaccines themselves, it spread like wildfire online, and it had consequences
People were making life or death decisions based on...
based on bad information. It's heartbreaking, really.
So where do we go from here? I mean, it can feel so overwhelming.
It can, but that's why this conversation is so important.
Right.
Because awareness is the first step. Knowing the stuff is out there, that's huge.
Yeah.
And then it's about being more discerning.
More skeptical.
Yes. Question everything. And I don't just mean the stuff that comes from sources you already disagree with. Question everything.
Even stuff from like your friends, your family.
Especially that stuff. Because so much of this spreads through those networks, through people we trust.
So it's like double check before you share.
Absolutely. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. If it makes you really angry, really scared, do a little digging.
Don't just react.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's on us as individuals. But what about these social media companies? I mean, they've got to be part of the solution, right?
Oh, 100%. They have a responsibility, I think, to be doing more. And we are seeing some progress. Some of them are putting more resources into fact-checking, flagging potentially harmful content.
Which is a start, right?
It's a start. But I think there's still a long way to go in terms of transparency, how are these algorithms working? And accountability.
Right, if they're profiting from the spread of this stuff.
Exactly.
Sure.
There needs to be consequences.
So it sounds like it's going to take a village to really tackle this.
It really will. It's on all of us. The individuals, the tech companies, educators, policymakers, we all have a role to play.
So as we wrap up here, I always like to leave our listeners with something to ponder. Some food for thought,
I like that.
So what's the one thing you really want folks to take away from this conversation?
That's a good question. I think for me, it boils down to this. We all have a responsibility to be good citizens.
Right.
Not just in our offline lives, but online too. And that means thinking critically about the information we're consuming and sharing, being respectful of others, even when we disagree, and demanding better from ourselves and from the platforms we use every single day. Because ultimately, the quality of our information shapes the quality of our decisions, both individually and as a society.
Powerful stuff. Well said. And listeners, we want to hear from you. How do you navigate the world of online information?
Mm.
What steps do you take to make sure you're not falling for fake news? Head over to our website, leave a comment, send us an email. We want to keep this conversation going. And that's it for today's deep dive. Until next time, stay curious, stay critical, and as always, thanks for listening.